Riverside Heights, 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. There is a specific frequency of silence that you only find in neighborhoods where the mortgages are finally paid off. It is a quiet, manicured peace. The lawns are cut on diagonals. The hedges are trimmed to mathematical perfection. It is the kind of silence that costs a lifetime of labor to afford. Miguel Hernandez knew the cost of this silence better than anyone. At 54 years old, Miguel was a man who had built his life brick by brick. He stood at the end of his driveway, a cup of black coffee in his hand, watching the world wake up. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't checking emails. He was simply standing on the land he owned, enjoying the cool morning air. He wore a suit that cost more than his first car, Italian wool, tailored to fit a frame that had seen 30 years of federal service. On his wrist sat an Omega Seamaster, a retirement gift to himself a few years early. To the untrained eye, Miguel looked like a CEO, or perhaps a retired surgeon. But Miguel was neither. He was a hunter. And this morning, he wasn't just drinking coffee. He was waiting for prey. He didn't have to wait long. Enter Agent Marcus Reynolds. We all know a Marcus Reynolds. He is 26 years old. He has been on the job for 18 months. The ink on his academy diploma is barely dry, yet he walks with the heavy, frantic swagger of a man who believes he owns the pavement beneath his boots. Reynolds wasn't patrolling Riverside Heights to keep it safe. He was patrolling it because it made him feel powerful. He liked looking at the big houses. He liked the idea that his badge gave him access to a world he couldn't afford. But mostly, Reynolds was looking for something that didn't fit his narrow view of the world. He turned onto Willow Drive and hit the brakes. His eyes scanned the street and landed on Miguel. Now, a wiser man would have seen a homeowner. A wiser man would have seen the posture, the suit, the confidence. But Reynolds didn't see any of that. He saw a Hispanic man standing in a driveway of a $2 million colonial estate. And in Reynolds' mind, a mind clouded by bias and arrogance, that math didn't add up. He didn't call dispatch. He didn't run the plates of the Lexus in the driveway. He threw his car into park, leaving it skewed in the middle of the road, and stepped out. "Hey, you." The sound shattered the morning peace. Birds stopped singing. A curtain in the house across the street twitched. Miguel didn't jump. He didn't flinch. He turned his head slowly, taking a sip of his coffee before lowering the mug. He looked at Reynolds with the mild curiosity of a man watching a noisy television commercial. "Can I help you, officer?" "Service entrance is around the back, pal." "What are you doing out front?" "Loitering." There it was. The first insult. The assumption. Reynolds marched up the driveway, crossing the property line with the entitlement of a king. He was invading a sanctuary. "I live here, agent." "You live here?" "Right. And I'm the King of England. Let's see some ID." Pause for a moment. Put yourself in Miguel's shoes. You have served your country for 3 decades. You have led task forces. You have buried friends who died in the line of duty. You have worked 80-hour weeks to buy this home for your wife. And now, a boy who wasn't even born when you graduated from the academy is standing on your lawn, treating you like a trespasser. Most of us would yell. Most of us would demand to see a supervisor immediately. The indignation would be too much to swallow. But Miguel Hernandez possessed a weapon that Reynolds did not experience. Miguel knew that if he yelled, he became the angry suspect. If he resisted, he gave Reynolds a reason to use force. So, Miguel did the most dangerous thing a man can do in this situation. He remained perfectly silent. He reached into his jacket pocket. "Don't you move on me." Hands out of the pockets. Reynolds slammed Miguel against the hood of the silver Lexus. Thud. The impact echoed down the street. It was the sound of a career ending, though Reynolds didn't know it yet. He grabbed Miguel's wrist, twisting it behind his back, pressing his face into the warm metal of the car. He reached into Miguel's pocket and ripped out the leather wallet. He flipped it open. Miguel Hernandez. Federal government ID. Reynolds paused. For a split second, reality tried to break through. A federal ID should have stopped him cold. It should have been the moment he apologized and walked away. But arrogance is a blinding mechanism. Reynolds couldn't accept that he was wrong. So he doubled down. "Looks like a fake. Good lamination, but I can spot a counterfeit a mile away. You probably bought this downtown." He tossed the ID, a badge of office, into the dirt. Then, he pulled out a credit card. A Platinum American Express. The kind of card you don't get by accident. And this? Stolen. "Did you lift this from the homeowner's nightstand?" Reynolds dropped the card on the asphalt. And then, he did something unforgivable. He placed his muddy tactical boot on the card and ground it into the pavement. That is federal property, agent. It's trash. Turn around. Hands behind your back. You're going for a ride. The street was no longer empty. Mrs. Thompson, a retired schoolteacher who had lived in Riverside Heights since 1985, stepped onto her porch. She was 72 years old, frail, and sharp as a tack. She held her phone up, her hand trembling slightly, recording every second. "Officer, stop. That man is my neighbor. He has lived here for 3 years." Reynolds didn't even look at her. He was too drunk on his own power. "Go back inside, lady. Unless you want to be charged with obstruction of justice. I'm taking this suspect in." Suspect. The handcuffs clicked. The sound of steel biting into skin. Miguel Hernandez, the Deputy Inspector General of the Department of Homeland Security, was now in shackles in his own driveway. And then a lifeline appeared. Miguel's phone began to ring in his pocket. A sharp, insistent tone. Reynolds fished it out, annoyed. He looked at the screen. Director Walsh. IG Office. Any other agent would have frozen. IG Office stands for Inspector General. It is the internal affairs of the federal government. It is the department that investigates agents. But Reynolds? Reynolds saw it as a joke. "Your boss calling? Let's tell him you won't be coming in to scrub the floors today." He hit answer. He put it on speaker. He wanted to humiliate Miguel. He wanted an audience. "Yeah, who is this?" "This is Inspector General Patricia Walsh. I need to speak with Special Agent Hernandez immediately. Hernandez is in cuffs. I'm taking him in for fraud, trespassing, and possession of stolen property." There was a silence on the other end of the line. A heavy, dangerous silence. The kind of silence that happens before a tsunami hits the shore. "Agent, listen to me very carefully. You are currently arresting a high-ranking federal officer. If you do not release him within 10 seconds, you are ending your career. Do you understand me?" This was the off-ramp. This was the moment Reynolds could have saved himself. He could have apologized. He could have unclicked the cuffs. He could have claimed ignorance. But a bully cannot back down. A bully cannot admit he is wrong, especially not to a voice on the phone. "I don't think so. I'm the law here. Stop calling." And then he hung up. He hung up on the Inspector General of the United States. Miguel looked up from the hood of the car. He wasn't angry. He looked at Reynolds with a profound, deep sadness. "You really shouldn't have done that." "Done what?" "Thrown away your pension." It took exactly 90 seconds. It didn't start with sirens. Sirens are for emergencies. This wasn't an emergency. It was an execution of justice. The sound was a low, mechanical rumble. 3 black Chevy Suburbans turned the corner of Willow Drive. They moved in perfect formation, like sharks sensing blood in the water. They screeched to a halt, blocking Reynolds' patrol car from the front, the back, and the side. Reynolds turned, confused. "What is this?" "Back up." The doors flew open. 6 agents stepped out. They wore suits, not uniforms. They had badges on their belts and earpieces in their ears. They moved with the terrifying efficiency of the Secret Service. They didn't aim their weapons at Miguel. "Step away from the suspect. Hands in the air." "Whoa, wait. I'm an agent. I'm IC. The suspect is right here. We are not here for him. We are here for you. Get on the ground." Reynolds' world collapsed. The color drained from his face, leaving him a sickly shade of gray. His knees buckled. The arrogance evaporated, replaced by the primal fear of a child who realizes he has broken something he cannot fix. He dropped to his knees. Inspector General Walsh stepped out of the lead vehicle. She walked past Reynolds as if he were a piece of furniture. She walked straight to Miguel. She produced a key and unlocked the cuffs. "Are you injured, sir?" "I'm fine, Patricia." "Thank you." Miguel stood up. He brushed the dust off his Italian suit. He picked up his ID from the dirt, wiping it clean with his thumb. Then, he picked up the platinum card with the boot print on it. He walked over to Reynolds. Reynolds looked up. He was crying now. The bully was gone. I didn't know. I thought." "Stand up." Miguel didn't scream. He didn't curse. He spoke with the quiet fury of a man who demands respect. "I am the Deputy Inspector General. My division investigates internal corruption and racial profiling. I bought this house, and I stood in this driveway, specifically to see if agents like you were protecting this community, or hunting it. Please, I have a family, and so do I. But you didn't care about my family when you slammed my face into that car. You didn't care about my dignity when you laughed at my ID. You judged a book by its cover, agent. And you forgot that some books are written by the people who sign your paychecks. They took Reynolds' badge. They took his gun. And right there on the manicured lawn of Riverside Heights, they read him his rights. He was charged with assault, deprivation of civil rights under color of law, and destruction of federal property. He didn't just lose his job that day. He lost his pension. He lost his future. He lost the very authority he had abused. As the convoy drove away, silence returned to Riverside Heights. Miguel Hernandez adjusted his cuffs. He walked across the street and shook Mrs. Thompson's hand. Then he walked back up his driveway, picked up his coffee cup, and went inside his home. It is a harsh lesson, but a necessary one. In a world obsessed with status, we often forget that true power doesn't scream. It doesn't bully. It doesn't need to push people around. True power is quiet. True power is patient. And true power is knowing that dignity isn't something you wear on a badge. It's something you carry in your soul. Be careful who you judge, because you never know who is watching.